Welcome to Backpacking with Buckley. It's my little YouTube channel, and it's all about backpacking. Now, old man winter has descended upon us, and if you're new to cold weather backpacking, or you're a wily old veteran and you want to learn some tips and tricks, stick around. There's a small chance you might learn something. The Thermarest Zite. There's a lot of different brands of these little accordion pads. As you can see, one side of it is silver, assumably to reflect heat back onto you. But this is a nice little hack for sleeping. Normally, we all have an insulated, nice fancy sleeping pad, like the Nemo Tensor. I have a 3.7 R value from a little company called Near Zero. Regardless, you can up that R value by using one of these. And the hack that I've learned from my friend Mike Ghost, that you can put this on top of your sleeping pad, and based on my trials and his as well, I stay a little bit warmer than if I put it underneath. So I like to take one of these accordion pads, lay it on top of my pad, and if I had to venture to guess, it'd probably add 1 or 1.5 points of R value to your sleeping experience. Piggybacking on that, I often will take the extra small amount of weight hit by bringing one of these small sit pads as well, because even if you have a fire, your hind quarters are going to get a little cold. So this is nice to put on your backpacking chair if you have one, and if you don't have one, you're really going to want to take something like this. In winter, I switch over to this 15 degree Superior Gear quilt. It keeps me warm and comfortable down to at least that temperature, and I use a sleeping pad or a hammock with an appropriately matched underquilt or R value on the sleeping pad. So make sure that you're bringing the proper insulation and plan for temperatures 10 to 15 degrees below what you may be seeing in the forecast. If you're going to be eating dehydrated meals, or any hot food in a bag for that matter, as long as it's properly sealed, go ahead and stick that between your layers. You'd be surprised how warm it will keep your core, and you get a double bonus by heating and steeping your food a little bit quicker because it's close to hot body temperature. Hot bod. What else do we got here? I don't want to make this a 20-minute long video. You probably recognize this. It's an isobutane canister. And in temperatures around 0 degree Fahrenheit, give or take 10 degrees on either side, these are going to start to underperform or fail altogether. You can see this one happens to be a 4-season mix, which may be just some additive, or there's some sort of trick where maybe you can stretch those temperatures a little lower. At any rate, when you get to camp, if you know you're going to cook, put this in your jacket, in your pants between your loins, any place warm that might heat that fuel up a little bit so that it will perform when you go to cook. This is not so much about being warm, but it's an important tip. If you have a water filter with you, which you probably will if you're doing a multi-day trip, make sure that you keep this someplace where it's not going to freeze, because if it freezes, it fails. So keep it inside between your body and your quilt and your sleeping bag, something like that. You could somewhat rig something up with a hand warmer, but make sure that this does not freeze. Secondary hack is bring a Ziploc bag or something to put it in case it's wet, so you don't get moisture inside your sleeping area. An oldie but a goodie, hand warmers, or in this case, mega warmers. I like to take these, open the package so that it gets oxygen, which allows it to heat, throw it inside of a sock that continues to allow it to breathe and heat up, and put it in my sleeping bag or my hammock before I go to bed. Now, as long as this has oxygen, it will heat up, and it will effectively kind of preheat your sleeping area. I really love using these babies, the mega warmers. Obviously, you can get foot warmers, you can get body warmers that tape to your back. You can just put these in your pockets, but they're very effective. And these things honestly last like 10 or 12 hours. Along that same lines, wintertime is kind of a good time to actually carry an Lgen bottle. And the reason for that is these can hold extremely hot water. You can boil water, fill this up, fill it halfway up, 3/4 up, and again, use this as a warming device. This is a perfect thing to, again, slip inside your sleeping bag or your hammock, and it will keep you warm most of the night. Now, should you be lucky enough to be in a place that allows campfires, a handy thing to bring is going to be a saw so that you can get firewood. At any rate, even something this small and lightweight is handy to have because you're not always going to be privileged enough to find the perfect size logs for a fire pit. When it comes to starting a fire, I always go to Walmart and I buy these stinky Duraflame fire starters. They're very chemically, probably not the most eco-friendly way to start a fire, but they are pretty foolproof. And usually if you have dry wood, a half of one of these will get a fire started for you, meaning that one of these can start 2 fires. There's a lot of different ways to start fires and different fire starters, but make sure you bring something to make that job a little bit easier because fire is all the more important in colder temperatures. Next up is layers. And I start by always carrying it in a waterproof or highly water resistant stuff sack. And I usually put that inside a Nylofoam bag too, because wet clothes are ineffective insulation. So first of all, put your layers in some sort of bag where it's going to stay dry in almost any circumstance. Now, what I usually bring, it's dependent on the weather really, but on a freezing level 32 degree Fahrenheit type of overnight trip, or even in the 20s, I'll usually just bring an extra base layer because this one might get completely wet from sweat on the hike in. And then probably a puffy coat and some sort of a windbreaker like a rain jacket to go over that. And that usually does me just fine when I'm in those warmer cold weather situations. If you're deep winter camping, you want to reevaluate those choices and probably bring even more layers than just that. Along with that, I'm going to bring an extra pair of pants, preferably insulated, or at bare minimum an extra pair of like long johns or a base layer for my bottom just in case my pants get wet. You always want to have a dry option. With that, I also bring gloves, weight depending on what temps I'm facing. This is a lightweight pair. Also bring the ever popular neck gaiter, buff, whatever you want to call it. This can be used as just a neck scarf, as a balaclava. A lot of different functions for this, and it's a good piece of gear to kind of keep that area of your head warm. And it's good to sleep with too. So in conclusion, backpacking in that 4th season, aka winter, is just another way to get outdoors and enjoy even the cold. Cold, it can be a very fun experience. I know the sun goes down early. Campfires are far more important. But it is a lot of fun just to experience the natural world when it's wintertime. It's a whole nother sight. So I hope this has inspired a few of you to get out and stay warm when cold weather backpacking. And we'll see you next time on Backpacking with Buckley. Bye.